Before I start going through Venom's individual changes to his normals and special moves, we have to talk about his unique mechanic ball and the change that it sees in this patch, because they are pretty substantial and these will permeate throughout his entire kit. For starters, it used to do 30 damage. And it used to last for only 2 seconds. Meaning that Venom usually only had one opportunity to strike a ball, put it into play, and then didn't really have any sort of means to following up. This was pretty bad returns on his investment, considering that, he would need to take time in order to hit the ball, and then getting only one interaction with it, maybe, depending on like the flow of the game and stuff like that, kind of limited just how creative a Venom player could be, as well as limited the threats that ball could possess in neutral against the opponent, as well as the versatility it had in set play. The first change to note is the damage increase on ball. Whereas it did 30 before, it now does 40. This is nice because every time Venom hits an opponent now, he's going to do slightly more damage. Considering he was a low damage character previously, this should be a nice change overall for him, increasing his poke damage, his combo damage, everything else like that. More importantly, though, is the increase to the ball's duration. Whereas before it only lasts and lingered for 2 seconds, it now lasts for 5 seconds, giving Venom many more opportunities to interact with the ball over and over again, thus meaning that his return for investing time into setting a ball can be paid in a couple of instances when you do hit them correctly. So now Venom players can experiment with what it's like to strike a ball twice and not having it hit the opponent. So if the opponent blocks it, Venom has the opportunity to use it again in order to hit the opponent with it. Overall, this is a really cool change to Venom that I think is very much in spirit with what the character wants to do. There was also a lot of bug fixes that occurred with Ball as well, and while I'm not going to be able to really demonstrate all of them in this video, as these were unintended behaviors, and I'm not going to try and invest too much time into showcasing all of them, I will simply address them here by reading through the patch notes. So there was an issue where the speed of a ball would vary depending on its relationship between Venom and the ball when it was struck, so that could create some very odd things where depending on where you struck the ball, it could change how fast it went, creating like these odd sort of just unreplicatable, unplannable moments and interactions with Venom and his anticipated outcome when hitting the ball. So the balls behave consistently now. That's really good. They fixed an issue where the outcome could differ when balls collided with each other if balls were present on screen. They fixed an issue where balls would not collide with each other when struck at low speed. So every time, like, your ball should just always hit another ball regardless of its velocity, which I think is good. They fixed an issue where balls generated by Charge Carcass Raid, all of its versions, Stinger Aim, and QV would not collide with other balls. So these should have been colliding with the other balls on screen previously, and now they should be doing that as opposed to not. And they fixed an issue where balls generated by Carcass Slide and Stinger Aim would continue to follow Venom. Sounds like a very weird bug. Not sure what that one was about, but regardless, they've done a lot of bug fixing for Venom in this patch to make it so that he should have consistent expected outcomes and intended interactions at all times in the match, as opposed to things being wonky and the character not functioning. Again, I'm sorry for not being able to demonstrate this, but I don't have the time in my day and in my schedule to really explore those things, and since I'm not a Venom player myself, I don't really know how to set up and recreate some of these bugs to demonstrate here, but I wanted to make you, the viewer, aware that these were present before and that Arc System Works has stated that they've fixed these issues. So if they still do happen, make sure you all get in touch with their feedback team on Twitter, ping Arc System Works, ping some of their staff members that ask for feedback in the first place, and hopefully we can address these bugs in additional patches. Getting into the normal buffs now, 5P will hit the ball at a faster movement speed now when you do hit it. Previously, it was pretty paltry before, but now it's actually pretty decent. It will reach at a backdash range and will cover quite a bit of the screen, making it a nice knock-and-middle poke. Standing Kick had its hitbox and hurtbox adjusted so that both of them have been moved forward a bit, increasing its overall effective range. This makes it a slightly better poke, while also making it more likely to link in some combos that would have possibly dropped before or been more difficult. 2 Heavy Slash has a very big buff, and that was to the horizontal blowback, where it's been reduced. Previously, if you were to launch into a Carcass Raid, then you wouldn't be able to be close enough for a close slash. But now, thanks to that, as well as some other changes to Carcass Raid, you are close enough just for close slash to work, and there's some other things we'll talk about later. Meanwhile, Jumping P has the same buff that 5P does, where the ball has increased movement speed when you do strike it, again, increasing its overall effectiveness in neutral as well as in pokes. JK has a very significant buff, actually, where the hitbox down and the hurtbox down have both been been expanded pretty dramatically. As you can see, I needed a very deep jump to hit Anji, but now look how big this move is. And there's actually some really cool tech that you can do with this move that we'll see at the end of the video. Jumping Slash has a very similar buff where the hitbox and hurtbox forward have been expanded during the later half of the active frames, meaning that it's just going to be a little more effective. And they've also added a hitbox that is only interacting with any ball that you have on screen, allowing Venom to hit it with the back of his staff a little bit more. Previously, you kind of had to jump forward and hit the ball with the front of your staff. And now with these changes, you can see here that this new hitbox is pretty big for this JS. And of course, if you're in front of a ball and you actually hit it in this next demonstration, you'll actually be able to strike the ball at times where you weren't able to do it before, just opening up new possibilities for Venom and his Oki pressure and combos. And Jumping Heavy Slash has a similar change where after its active frames are over, there is a hitbox specifically designed to interact with the ball only, thus allowing you to do things like this. QV has an expansion in its range where previously it could be a little bit stubby, like for example from round start, backdash position, it didn't reach, but now it does on every single version of it, so this will mean that it's easier to fit into some combos regardless of the opponent's spacing. Carcass Raid has some changes across the board. All versions now do an extra 15 damage on their initial hit where he strikes you with the Q staff, so it does double damage effectively. The Slash version also has a couple of changes to it where the recovery has been significantly reduced by 8 frames, meaning it's now +5 on block instead of -3. With this change, it also opens up new combo routing for Venom because he's able to move and get closer to the opponent. As an example here, you're actually able to move pretty quickly and get sequences like this, which will increase Venom's overall damage. Because of that change, they have increased some of the scaling on it, but that's fine. You're getting more from it anyway. Heavy's version has the ball move at a slower movement speed now. We'll see if there's any implications for that later. And the aerial hit also does more damage on its initial strike, doubling up from 15 to 30. Lastly, Triumbaka, his command throw, used to have like varying distances depending on which opponent you threw, but now it should all be the same across the board. There's a lot of changes that we talked about, but I'm not going to be able to really show off the full ramifications for it, so we have to look to experienced Venom players and Twitter in order to break some things down. Like for example, this person breaks down that if you dash cancel and you set up a P ball, you're actually able to get a full charge of your Carcass Raid and thus get some new tech in there. And of course there's some bonus combo routes that you can do here thanks to some of the changes that we do see to Venom in this patch, first demonstrating it on Nagoriyuki. Next up we demonstrate this on Soul with Triumbaka. And again, you know, some of these things and sequences all working regardless of who the opponent character is, and we're seeing that the reduced horizontal blowback onto Heavy Slash opens up plenty of new combo routings for Venom to look and go into. I mean, this character is looking really cool in this patch, I do have to say. And of course, with the increased ball duration, there's some new and improved Oki opportunities that you can have with this. We're seeing a pretty standard combo launch into his super for the side swap. Then we set up the balls right here, and you still have this ball in the air that you can work with as well in case the opponent doesn't get well stuck like this. We're simply demonstrating that you can go for a full combo extension, leaving the corner, going back into the corner, and getting a combo like that. If you wanted to adjust your routing to, instead of going for max damage for a kill, instead if you wanted to go for Okizemi, then you get options like this, where you can take the knockdown, reset your ball, and again, apply a lot more pressure here, and there's just ample opportunity to play around with this. And with the changes to Heavy Slash and Carcass Raid, of course, now with some of the previously established Oki, you actually get some consistent combo rewards on hit instead of having to kind of improvise on the spot. You can go for dirty stuff like this, and then you actually get a nice stable combo for Venom to use. I can't speak to how nice it is to see that Venom actually just can do some very consistent routing now. I mentioned the jump kick change earlier, and well, actually, you now have access to an instant backdash blue Roman cancel overhead that works on some of the cast. Here's the list as it's been presented to us, and keep this in mind if you ever want to use this. And of course, there is a demonstration as well as what combo you can get. Again, the 2 heavy change being a big proponent in what kind of combo routing that you can get now off of hits like this. The running joke of the patch that I've been seeing from time to time has been Arc System Works has finally added Venom into the game, and honestly, it's kind of on point. It's really cool to see a bunch of quality of life changes to try and stabilize his behavior so that players can expect a consistent outcome from him rather than going into buggy ball velocities, ball positioning, things like that, as well as just being able to have stronger combo routes overall. He's doing more damage thanks to the buffs to ball damage, to Carcass's initial hit damage as well, and he really appreciates pretty much all the system mechanic changes. His defense is better thanks to the Yellow Roman cancel change. The fact that Risk now is able to interact with the first hit of a combo to do more damage also improves him as a zoning character, because if he makes the opponent block some of his pressure and then they get clipped by something, it will do more damage initially, even if the combos are going to be scaling a lot harder than they were before. So he appreciates those system mechanic changes on top of the fact that he just flat out does more damage in a lot of these sequences, and it feels like the character is finally starting to become a little more cohesive within these patch, and there's still tons of tech to be explored with this character because of just the nature of his kit. I hope I was able to demonstrate a couple of cool showcases here and try to highlight some of the other community members who are more experienced and more knowledgeable about Venom's capabilities, and I highly recommend that if y'all have been interested in Venom, you should look into getting into him now. Find those discords, find those players that can guide you through this, because honestly, this could be the patch where Venom becomes at the very least a functional character to play. Where his overall strength is, I think people still have their doubts because he still has some of his issues, like with defense, that haven't been addressed. But at the very least, him and his game plan should be functional and fun and consistent, which is a massive boon to the character's playability, regardless of competitive viability. And I'm very happy to see Arc System Works take this approach with the character. Hopefully, more comes and we get to see more of him in tournaments.